What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're here with another tier list video for the month of December 2022, the final tier list of 2022, which is just crazy to think about. I just can't believe it. Like, this year's gone by so quickly. We're already heading into a new year, and yeah, next month's tier list is gonna be a big one, introducing New Year's legend or legends, so that's obviously going to be exciting. So things are gonna be hopefully shaken up a little bit, comparing this list to next month. But to round out 2022, we are gonna do a relatively fresh list, and I am going to kind of do it fresh, and I do want to be more strict on characters, you know? Like, if a character is like really borderline, I'm just gonna cut it clean and, you know, just rank it as fairly as I can really rank it, in just terms of how I personally feel about the characters, right? So let's jump into it by breaking down my personal criteria, which it's a relatively loose criteria, but it is criteria nonetheless. So we have the power of the unit, so how much damage can they output, and also the speed of the unit, how fast do they actually clear content, how reliable are they at clearing that content, what is their clear rate as a captain, if they're used as captain, is there content that they straight up cannot clear at all, and also how usable or versatile is the character, can they be put on teams where they're not even boosted to give you amazing buffs, and that definitely goes a long way in determining whether a character is powerful or not. So with all that in mind, let's jump into it. I guess we can really briefly talk about what new characters are going to be added to the list in this month. So we have obviously 6+ Kid, amazing buffs to him. We have the new legend Big Mom, as well as Page 1, which is coming out relatively soon as of you guys watching this video. We also have Law, Frankie, Katakuri, Garp, and Rayleigh receiving a level limit break. So all of that in mind, let's go ahead and start adding characters to the list. As I said, I want to be relatively strict, and I think in order to do it, I honestly think we need to start at the top, right? So let's pick up all of the characters that I believe deserve to be near that tier 0, like top tier contention. So I think Kaido, like, I don't think I'm changing this, but I think Kaido is probably my number 1 legend in the game. I don't really think much is going to sway me away from that at all. And then like these two guys, we've got Roger Whitebeard as also as Luffy crew. Like, those two are definitely also on that list. I think for sure Luffy crew is second place. I've got Roger Whitebeard there. We have Uta from the Film Red Celebration. She deserves to be in contention for being one of the top tier characters. I also think recently, I think is going to be buffed up a little bit in this list, is going to be the Anniversary Luffy that dropped with Kaido. He's seen a lot of play recently, just synergizing so well with a lot of characters, being so freaking strong, dude. So he deserves to be in contention to be one of those top level characters, the top 5 list. And then we've also got Ace and Yamato, who I think also deserve to be in contention for being like the top 5 worthy character. And there's probably going to be a lot more along the way. Characters such as Shanks, characters such as Law, these two in particular are incredible and have been amazing for ever since they've really just come out. So I think these characters, I don't think they're top 5 worthy, but because they are a little bit like shoehorned into only really being used for certain pieces of content. But I think for what they're able to do, they're pretty amazing. I do think Law is more flexible than Shanks, because I feel like you're able to use him in a lot more cool situations, and he's more accessible for more players as well, because Shanks being a Super Sugo unit, and even if you did have Shanks rainbowed and you had Law rainbowed, you know, the fact that Shanks' ability doesn't go through full immunity definitely hinders his kit and what he aims to do. So I do think that, you know, Law is probably a little bit more flexible. So what I've done here is I've gone through the entire list of characters, and I've cherry picked the characters that I believe are in that tier 0, almost top 5 category. Like, if anyone said that any of these characters are in their top 5, some of them would definitely be questionable, but a majority of these I probably wouldn't even bat an eye, because a lot of these are so good. Now, where would I put them in the actual list though? So we've got like the Tandem, Law, and also the Shanks. Like K-Dad, I think they're probably a little worse. I think Film Red Luffy, while he's so good, he hasn't really needed to be used in a lot of content, because this Luffy he just exists. And Super Tandem is inherently a better effect than Last Tap, unless if you have one that is like K-Dad's or Luffy crew. So he's in a weird spot because he's a Luffy character. If this character was anyone else but Luffy, he probably would be a lot better than what he is. Beckman Lucky Roo, I think he's actually kind of a little bit better than Luffy, just in terms of the amount of play that they see. I think in terms of it is hard because Luffy, like this Luffy exists and this Luffy exists. It's really hard to put this Luffy high on the list when these other Luffys are just better in a lot more content, which really hurts the character overall. I'm going to leave it there. Screw it, man. I don't think Kid is better than Luffy, though. Waifus, their captain is, like, just okay, and their super type is, like, pretty average, but their special is so godly, and they're used in a lot of situations. Yamato has a pretty good all-round kit in almost all scenarios. I think that they're probably around K-Dad level. K-Dad's probably stronger, but I'll leave him around that level for now. Ace versus Akainu, man. Look, Ace doesn't really see that much play anymore, but Akainu is still amazing. Like, in almost every way, dude. Akainu is so good still. I think I kind of want to put it like that. Like, I think around this level here is fair. OG Roger, you gotta respect him, man. Honestly, I think he still deserves to be in the top, but due to Super Tandem is such a broken mechanic, man. When you have Super Tandem at level 5, it makes a big difference, dude. And despite the utility effects that Roger can have that are really unique, it's hard to put him above Super Tandem characters. Bon Clay, due to his how versatile this character is, man. He's so strong. I think I want to put him probably around this level, maybe a little bit better than Yamato. I think it's probably a little bit better than, no, K-Dad's stronger overall. And we got Toki. I think Toki is also kind of a hard one to place because there's going to be times where Toki is just amazing to use, and then there's other times where, no, she's dog shit. So it's really hard. She's like very, very like black and white, right? Where sometimes she's just useful, sometimes she's just not useful at all. So I think I feel comfortable leaving her at the bottom of this tier, but she is still pretty good. And obviously one of these characters is going to be dropping down into tier 0. Okay, so once again, I've cherry-picked some characters that I'm going to be putting in the tier just below that. So these are characters that I think are just really powerful, but are not as powerful as the characters at the top. But also characters that I use a lot that just help you clear just a lot of content, right? So we have a lot of characters to talk about here. Now, which one do I think is the top of this tier? This is, it's pretty difficult to rank all of these, you know? Honestly, I feel like putting Dog and Cat at the top because they're just used in so much content. They help you clear like everything. Whenever a new piece of content comes out, Dog and Cat are one of the first teams that people experiment with to try and build speed teams to, beat it with just a faster time, so you don't have to stall or anything like that. It makes a big difference. They're just that good. But obviously they have inherent drawbacks to the kit that means that they're not optimal in every scenario, but they're just really useful overall. But then after that, I mean, Carrot Wanda, I guess you could probably say might be close to that. But there's a lot of good characters here, man. Like, if we're just talking about, like, characters, specials, captains, everything built into one, like, Zora's is super solid across the board. I think he might be a bit better than Carrot Wanda. Carrot Wanda are unique because they have hunger and also because of their cooldown reduction that no one really comes close to what they can do in terms of reversing your specials. Law is still very usable due to Final Tap being amazing, and also the Dex, Cerebral, and Slasher Captain. Slash is getting a lot of boosts recently. His special is godly, by the way. Psy Odin still deserves a lot of respect for sure. And then you got you got Strength Odin and Psy Odin. I think Strength Odin is a better unit. Odin, the Psy Odin has some interesting mechanics, but obviously as time has gone on, this character just doesn't really see a lot of play. If you're going to be using Psy Odin for color affinity, that's fine. But in a lot of cases, if you want free spirit color affinity, like waifus are just the better option in like every way, right? So that's the drawback with that character. Drake is very cool. Like, it's really hard to rank each of these. Like, honestly, I don't know about an order for all these. This is pretty tough because Drake, the synergy with Kaido obviously is amazing. Halloween Ace is really good. Hina obviously has great synergy with any cerebral or striker unit, and you've got a couple of good cerebral and striker units at the top here, of course. Speaking of cerebrals, you have the Hiyori character. You've also got like this character, Usopp and Yasop, good free spirit synergy. But I'm not a big fan of dual units as captains, unless if they have something severely unique, like, you've got like Ace and Yamato with their ability to remove bind and special bind. Like, that's just crazy that they can have that. Roger Newgate, because it doesn't really matter. They're basically like solo legends with their solo captains. And you got Luffy crew because they're kind of unique in that they can make any buff become rainbow. Usopp and Yasop don't have that. Frankie Tanky, I'd say, probably the best dual unit captain outside of this because of their utility they have, removing burn and also removing attack down. You've also got, I put this Dovi here because he's so strong. Driven have got a lot of really cool assets now, and he's a very, very solid unit to use with his captain removing special bind. His super type special or super class special is very good. His base special is also very good. I think that Zora and Sanji is also really nice, but of course they're Zora and a Sanji unit, so there's a lot of overlap with their kit. Shiki is an underrated one. I think a lot of people sleep on this character with level limit break, with super evolution, limit break expansion. This unit's godly. Like, this unit is actually amazing, and there's not really much that stops him. The only real drawback is that he doesn't have super type or super class. That hurts him, obviously, but he synergizes well with some very good characters in the game, and there's not a lot that stops him. He's pretty insane, and utility based special with a full board of slots, an orb boost as well. Like, he's just so good. I feel like something like this is probably what I'd be thinking. Shirahoshi Mancherry, not a great captain, but their switch and their special being able to be used in so many good teams, one of the best utility removing specials in the game. Like, they're just amazing. So now I was going through the list for the next tier, and I was just going through the characters, and I did overlook Sabo and Ace. They do deserve to be relatively high on this list. I think that they deserve to be probably just above Toki. They see probably a little bit of extra play compared to Toki, but you got to respect what Sabo and Ace is able to do. So as for this next tier, for tier 2, we've got a bunch of these characters here. We have a couple of super evolutions, which is awesome. A couple more super Sugo Fest exclusives. And now when I look at this list here and see which one do I think is the most powerful of all of them, I probably think Cruzan is the best. I think Luffy is probably second best. I do think Luffy is actually a little bit more useful than Kid these days. Upon release, Kid was probably the most useful one, at least at level 1. Law was still very good, obviously. But then, I think, honestly, as time has gone on, like, Luffy and the synergy that he has with Shanks and this Luffy, when you're building a quick team to take on content with, having this Luffy is very, very valuable. Now, looking past all of that, I think Rob and Jinbei, they deserve to have a lot of respect. The captain ability, usable, not the best, but their special and their switch are amazing and has been so good for the past few months. They do deserve a lot of respect. Let's see what else we have here. We've got Crocodile. I haven't used him too much. Can't really say too much about Crocodile. Korra and Law, yeah, they're going to be on this list in some capacity. I keep gravitating towards Katakuri. I think he deserves to be here. Blackbeard is super solid. Kinemon Denjiro, not a big fan of dual units. Same with Capone crew, but they are interesting and they do deserve to be on the list nonetheless. I think I'm going to put Chopper next. And then Akainu is still very good. I think Crocodile deserves to be here. I think that King and Queen, I think Queen is a little bit better than King, but despite that, they're still both very good, even considering their age. They've aged pretty well, in all honesty. Next, we'll probably put Whitebeard versus Shanks. We'll put the Blackbeard. We'll put Korra Law. Then we'll put Kid, Kinemon Denjiro, and we'll finish off with Capone crew. So, rounding out the list, looking pretty good right now. So the next batch of characters that I've cherry-picked for tier 3, this is kind of interesting. We've got like a couple of older characters, we've got a couple of newer characters as well, some characters in between, but this is a weird part of the list where we start talking about characters that I think are just like middle of the road, like not like 5 out of 10, but like above average, right? Characters that can clear a crap load of content. I mean, honestly, a lot of the characters up until tier 5 can clear a lot of content when you build them right. But these are characters I think are just above average, just fine. They can do some cool things, but they're not like my go-to character every single time, right? And I think probably one of the best characters of this list is Carrot, you know, for the similar reasons as, you know, Carrot Wanda and also Dogcat, just due to the speed farming mechanics. I think Moria is criminally underrated. Another character that is criminally underrated is Koala, like good synergy with Super Tandem Luffy. Like a lot of people forget this unit exists. She is amazing. Really, really good unit. Let's have a look. We got Stampede Luffy with the level limit break on top of Bullet. I think these characters are around the same power level. These characters are really strong with their level limit break buffs. Speaking of level limit break buffs, we have Blackbeard, where they've changed him quite a lot and he becomes a lot more usable now. Even though team building with him is somewhat difficult, he's still really good. If you can make it work, it is worth it. And the same thing goes for like Legend Sengoku, where sometimes the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You know, the amount of effort you have to put in order to build sufficient efficient teams with this guy is pretty steep. But if you do it, then it's pretty gratifying. It's super satisfying to beat content with Sengoku, and he has one of the better super tandems in the game for sure. So I think he deserves to be on this list around this level. So I'm going to put him here. I think Straw Hats are also incredibly powerful. They got a really unique special. I think a lot of people would rank Marco a lot higher than what I would rank them, but look, it is what it is. It's my tier list. I'm going to put Sanji next with his level limit break. Amazing buffs to his special, and obviously a lot stronger with his captain. I think we're going to put Marco next. We're going to put the Halloween hybrids next. I do think Law is slightly better. I think Blackbeard probably deserves to be a lot higher. This Blackbeard is probably near the top of this list here, I think. And then we've got Germa, Bonnie, VV. Okay, Lucci's really strong. You know, Shanks' crew, a lot of people would probably rank Shanks' crew a lot higher. But I mean, with the values that they have now, this character is just a worse version of like, Roger Whitebeard, for example. Just with the switch is what I'm talking about specifically. And then their captain, like, while yeah, they remove special bind, like Ace and Yamato can do it as well. They have a chain boundary switch effect as well. So honestly, I'm not really the biggest fan of Shanks' crew anymore. Especially when we've got other better Shanks characters in the game. And then from this point, I think probably Sasaki goes here, Germa goes here, and then VV, Bonnie, and then Sabo to rank out this tier 3 list here. So let's keep going and see what we can find. Man, I gotta say that finding characters for these next two tiers is pretty tough, because I'm being pretty strict on where I'm ranking these characters this time around, and like there's a lot of leftover characters because I just don't think a lot of these characters are just that good, honestly. And I think that's fair, honestly. Not every character deserves to be on the tier list, I just think if we're going from top to bottom, this is probably what we're looking at here. So let's move on here. We've got tier 4 that we're looking at. We have this batch of characters for this tier. Now, out of this tier, the one that stands out immediately is Halloween Boa, and her captain is pretty bad, and her super type is also really bad, but that special is irreplaceable in a lot of content, and I think that that's pretty valuable in and of itself. I think that Pudding is also the same way, where her captain isn't that good, but that special is just nuts, and has to be on the list because of how useful it actually is. Now, moving past that, if we're looking, looking at the rest of the kit, like captains and super types, Marco is very good. Sanji's very good. Who's who in Black Maria? Man, they're just not as good as Sasaki. Like Sasaki, when you look at Sasaki's kit overall on paper, it is very good, and it is a lot better than what you get from Sasaki, from Black Maria and Who's Who. So I don't think they deserve to be super high on this part of the tier list. I think that Halloween Perona is very good. Kaido and Big Mom, while they're super outdated and severely power crept, they're still able to do stuff. Great synergy. They have good support characters, so you have to put them somewhere on the list. I'm going to put Chopper for his great utility. Honestly, Chopper might deserve to go a bit higher. He could be nearly the top of this list, in all honesty. His captain ability isn't great, and we can respect that, but he's a Chopper. He's got access to great supports, and he's got a good utility special. I think from here, we're going to put Ulti Page 1. We're going to put Black Maria. You know what? Black Maria's special is actually pretty nice. Even though it's a delayed conditional, if you can apply the delayed conditional, it's pretty cracked. Great orb manipulation, orb boost as well. I think it's a little bit better than Kaido versus Big Mom. Who's Who is just really mid. He's really mid. We're going to put the Dex Sabo, and then we're going to finish it off with the Luffy and the Sanji character. Luffy, Sanji have access to some of the best supports in the game, so there's that, but their special is pretty bad. Their captain ability, very outdated, bad switch ability. It's not very good, but you can still somewhat use them in content, but they're not the best. And then these are the characters that I've selected for the final tier, and of course we will be talking about all the new characters that may or may not make the cut to this tier list as well after this. So we have a bunch of like the leftover miscellaneous characters. Definitely some of them are not as good as, the others. Like Onami, I don't think she's super great. I think that characters like Kaido, for example, Kaido and Kaido crew, they're pretty much clumped together in the fact that, yeah, you can use them to clear content, but due to the style of content that we normally get in today's day and age, these characters are not as valuable as what they once were. Normal attacks only being as prevalent as it is definitely hurts the characters overall. Characters such as Rayleigh and Corazon are very valuable, but who is probably the best of this list? It's hard to make a pretty clear judgmental call about that, but I'd say, like, due to how valuable these units are, I think Corazon is a better unit on a crew compared to, but then again, you got Rayleigh with his really cool effects. With level limit break, I think Korra's level limit break buffs the character better, but I think as a base unit, Rayleigh probably is just slightly better. Both their supports are godly though. And then you got like Garp, who's like kind of okay. You've got Brook, who's just kind of outdated. Even when he came out, he really wasn't that good. Katakuri, you can build a pretty good powerhouse team with him, but he's not the best because of the way that he's designed. Borsalino is very strong, being able to remove Special Bind, Chain Boost. I think is he Color Affinity as well? He does a lot of cool stuff. Like, this guy's really, really strong. Wano Law has a great special ability and is unparalleled still in a lot of ways, which is strong. Katakuri for the delayed conditional boost, but I think this Katakuri probably is still a little bit more valuable to have, though the Int Katakuri is still very good for Grand Voyage, so I guess you got to respect that. This Nami Robin, very, very interesting because synergizes well with Korra and Law. I talked about Korra and Law in my last month's tier list, and a lot of people got so mad that I didn't really give respect to Nami Robin. And to be honest, yeah, I agree in some facets, but also it's Nami and Robin. Like, not a lot of people are going to be using this character for content, but they do have good supports. They synergize well with Korra and Law, and I'd say I'd only rank them in this tier because of Korra and Law. If they didn't exist, I would not put them in this tier at all, to be honest. Still got a really nice paralysis removing special or boosting special too, so I suppose it's fine. Reiju is okay. Iza Okiku is fine. Vivi and Rebecca have a terrible special, to be honest. Well, in terms of the color affinity, like that point is what I mean. That thing is bad. Like, their color affinity boost is just very, very mid. But the fact that they remove the blue and rainbow shield, that's the big thing. That part of the special is good. The color affinity is really bad. And their switch ability to get the guaranteed like 2k heal and the chain lock is still pretty nice, but definitely a little bit outdated in today's meta for sure. I got V1 Doflamingo because with his level limit break, he's actually really good. And I think a lot of people kind of underrate this guy. I think he probably deserves to be near the top of this list. Like, with his level limit break buffs, he's pretty good, and he has really good support as well. Tezora with his level limit breaks is absolutely amazing. And you got Jinbei with his level limit breaks, also very, very strong. And I think with all that being said, probably Reiju deserves to be a little bit higher. Probably better than all these PvP legends. And I think with Smoothie probably is the best of the PvP legends for sure in normal content. And with that, I'm pretty happy with how that goes. So the rest of the characters that aren't on this list, I'm not saying that they're bad, but like either they're too niche, way too situational, or they're just straight up bad, right? Like characters like Marco and like Buggy, you got V1 Lucci, Whitebeard, Log Luffy, all these characters that have like these really interesting level limit breaks that make them stronger. Even like Quick Kuzan, I suppose he's fine. But like Hody, he's really cool, but a little too situational for my liking. All these characters receive really good buffs, but I mean, I could definitely add them on here if I had more tiers and stuff, but I just think it's a little bit of a waste of time, honestly, because most people really just care about the best legends, right? So I guess let's just move on from this and start talking about characters that are new additions to the game and where I would place them. So with Dex Kid receiving his super evolution, this unit is amazing. This unit is really good. I think this character is a tier 1, and I'm honestly going to rank him probably a little bit better than Psy Odin. That's where I'm going to rank him right now. I think this super evolution is fantastic, and if we get more super evolutions along this line, I'm going to be very, very happy. Next, we have the new version of Big Mom. Now, I don't think it's much of a surprise that I think this character is pretty mid. I think that the design decisions for this character don't make a lot of sense, and for those reasons, I think I'm going to leave her in tier 4. I think I'm going to leave her probably just below Ulti, to be honest. Maybe even a little bit worse than Who's Who. I'm not a big fan of what they did with this Big Mom. Yes, it is better than the earlier Big Mom we got this year, but that's not a very, high bar to really cross. It's not a good design. They could have done a lot better with this unit. Even just reducing the cooldown by like 10 turns would have made this character a lot better, but yeah, terrible design. And then we also have the new legend Page 1. Now, Page 1 is interesting. I like his special as it combines utility and also providing a bit of an orb boost and stuff. I think that he's definitely a tier 5 legend though. Like, I don't think he's going to be making big splashes in the meta. I think that he's probably like a little bit worse than Katakuri, to be honest. Like, I think that Katakuri, while he is also a powerhouse captain, if I'm going to use either one of these characters as a captain for a powerhouse team, I'm definitely using Katakuri over this guy. But this guy's got some really cool stuff. So next we have the 5 level limit breaks that arrived in the game. So next we have Law. Now Law is focused on boosting cerebrals, and his base version focuses on striker characters. And I think what they gave him is actually pretty good. Do I think it's going to be meta defining or meta changing for people to go out of their way to build teams with this guy? No, I don't think so. Do I think he deserves to be on the list? Honestly, I'm not going to put him on the list, but I can respect the buffs that he received. However, the guy next to him, Frankie, he's going on the list. Frankie's buffs are very strong, and you know, a lot of his buffs only really work if you use him as the captain. But that's the thing. If you're going to be building a team focused around using Frankie, you're going to use him as the captain. That's the only reason you use Frankie in content, is as a captain, getting access to the captain action. So his buffs are very good, and I am going to put him in tier 3, and I think that this character and what he's able to provide, he's going on the top row. I think that he's probably here. Maybe, actually, you know what? No, I think he's a little bit lower than Marco. Probably a little bit lower than the Halloween hybrids. Yeah, I feel comfortable with that. Frankie's buffs that he received were very strong, so I feel very comfortable leaving him in the middle of tier 3. Next we have V1 Katakuri, and I know I'm a big Mr. Slam Jam fanboy, but bias aside, I don't think he makes the list. I think that his buffs are good, but it's not a character that people are going to go out of their way to build teams for, and maybe I'll do that, right? But I don't think he deserves to be on the tier list, honestly. He's cool, he got some nice buffs, but I don't think it really elevates him to that next level comparatively to some of the other characters that received level limit breaks. We got Garp as well, and Garp's buffs are pretty solid, and I do think he does deserve to be on here because of his amazing new special. Captain ability is fine, but you're probably not using him for his captain. You're definitely using him as a sub, and I think that his usability is pretty good. I think I'm going to leave him just below Wano Law, and his buffs that he received with Chain Boundary, the tap timing changing, so all taps, good, great, and perfect, are counted as perfect, which is actually really good. So for all of that, I think that he deserves to be at least at a tier 5. And then the final character is V2 Rayleigh. I think that his buffs are very good. One thing that I didn't mention in my level limit break video is that he actually receives very good buffs with his expanded captain. And with all of that in mind, I definitely think he deserves to make the list as well. In terms of where he deserves to go, I think he's actually a little bit above, because Rayleigh's special ability becomes very good, but also the captain is what receives the biggest upgrades, and I think for those reasons it does deserve to be a bit better than where Garp is placed. So I think he's going to be in this list here, and I think he's probably just below Kaido and Big Mom. That I feel comfortable putting him in that tier there. So as for right now, that's what I'm going to leave it as. If I really did miss out on a big character that a lot of people are noticing, I may put them in the list next month. But as for right now, I feel pretty comfortable with where I've placed most of these characters. Like, I think some people might say Cracker probably deserves to be on the list, and he probably does. Like, his captain's really bad though. He probably deserves to be around here. But like, most of these characters don't really deserve to be mentioned all that much. There's some cool ones in here, but unfortunately a lot of them just don't make the cut in my opinion. But that is going to pretty much wrap it up for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. We do actually have to talk about one other thing, and that is going to be, we have to finish off our top 5, right? And I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to put Uta on this position, and then this character is bumping down once again. I think that the Anniversary Luffy has been so valuable as time has progressed, and personally, I have regretted not trying to get more copies of this unit due to not having that Super Tandem at level 5. I really wish I had it at level 5 because it has been so useful in so much content, and unfortunately, I don't have it, but I think for those reasons, having this guy at level 5 is pretty valuable, right? So I think that I'm going to put him as my number 4. Because Uta hasn't really been needed for content recently, I feel comfortable moving her down just a little bit. She's still a top 5 legend. I think a lot of people agree that Uta is one of the best legends in the game. But I think in terms of how often I've needed to use the characters, this is where I feel comfortable leaving these characters on this list. But I think overall, that is going to wrap it up from us. So thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.